Go ahead, try to name every single 2D game for the PlayStation 1. Chances are, every single game you're going to name is either 2.5D or some type of puzzle game, and not really a platform. So why do I bring this up? Because I am the Game Collector, and this is Second Opinion Games, and today we do our review of Punky Skunk for the PlayStation 1.
Second Opinion Games.
So Punky Skunk is your average 16-bit looking platform game for the PlayStation 1. So why is this really that important? Well, Sony had a real big stick up their butt about releasing 2D straight-up platform games for their system, especially ones that are obviously stuck in the last console cycle with their crazy 2D. You know, the era of 2D. Getting away from that just slightly, you'll see that Punky Skunk is just a skunk, doesn't really move that fast, actually can take 3 or 4 hits depending on different power-ups you find or earn through the minigames, and there's quite a bit of minigames, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Also, he's kind of a bit on the annoying side as he says something every single time he jumps. But don't let that fool you, the game really isn't that bad. Yes, the first 3/4 of the game is ridiculously easy, but beyond that, it starts to get rather challenging, and the more challenging, the more fun. Until you get to the end boss of the game, however, and then it's really, really challenging, and a little less fun. But overall, I had a blast with this game. So let's break down some of the aspects of it. So, minigames here, and there are quite a few of them. And they could range from tapping a button really fast while trying to keep these light bulbs going, or playing a match game. Why are these minigames important? Well, if you complete enough of them, you'll earn extra life, which is pretty nice to have and makes the game a bit of a breeze. And this game was already relatively easy before this, so not really necessary. There is hidden minigames in each of the stages if you want to really search them out to find them, but I think we're better off just rushing through the stage as fast as possible. Those aren't the only tricks up Punky Skunk's sleeve, however. See, he also has power-ups, which you could turn into maybe a paraglider, inline skater, a surfer, you could have a digger, or a pogo stick. And very late in the game, you'll even get a jetpack. All these are very useful, and you could always revert back to the original Skunk at any time with just a simple press of the circle button. Basically, you just use 3 buttons in general. The square attacks, and the X jumps. Very easy to learn and easy to master control scheme. Makes for a pretty great game. But let's talk about the bosses now. So these bosses are all mini-games in themselves. It's kind of ridiculous, especially this volleyball one, which I could never figure out exactly where I'm supposed to be to hit this ball, or in what frame of animation your character even hits it. It's rather difficult. There's a paddle boat one that sometimes is a bit wonky as well, with crazy rubber banding AI, so you can never really win unless you're already losing. Some easy boss battles too, where this one's really late in the game and unbelievably easy. Just spam the attack button, but he's on your side, so I guess that's okay that it's so easy. He's brainwashed and really not trying that hard. There's some other ones, but they're all relatively generic except for the end boss of the game. I talked about him earlier, and that's this huge wolf thing that you have to use the jetpack to take him out. And he takes a ton of hits and is extremely cheap. Just when you beat his first form, he turns into a big ball, which then you have to hit him even more until he explodes everywhere. And he is really, really tough, and is by far the toughest part of this game, which is great because he's the last boss of the game. So many times I get into a match Or pick up a new game and the last boss is a pushover and it's all about the challenge of getting to him. Not the case here. This case, the challenge is all on the last boss. Really though, there's nothing really bad about this game. Matter of fact, it sells for about $30, which is really, really cheap for a 2D platform game. Look at Lomax, for example. That is, The Adventures of Lomax. It sells for about $150, and it's really not too much better than this, although Lomax does look a lot better. But this game is completely fine and rather fun to play. I like how when you're the digger character, you can't jump. You could only dig, and you still have a shot. I like the pogo stick character because he gives you a bit more bounce. I like the jetpack because it throws in a curve rather late in the game that was very unexpected. The inline skater and the surfer are almost exactly the same, and it felt like the game really didn't know what to do with them. Speaking of the game not really knowing what to do with them, the Paraglider, I feel like the developers had no idea what they were doing here, so they just threw in some weird wind mechanics because they were relatively popular at the time, and it really doesn't fit in. Most of my complaints about the game, whether it's too much tood from Punky Skunk himself, or just the really long load times of the PlayStation 1, but that was more of a hardware complaint, not so much about the game. For $30, this game is a steal and an absolute must-have. However, it's also rather rare and kind of hard to find, even with the low price of $30. So I recommend strongly picking this one up while you can before it turns into a Lomax and you'll be paying $150 for it. But that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching.